All right, congratulations. We've made it to the end of the Introduction to the XNA Framework section in the XNA 101 Extreme class here in Volume 2. Of course, it is now time for us to present the Knowledge Review. So here we are with Knowledge Review number 8. It is going to be nowhere near as challenging as the one that you had back in Review 7, where we asked you to create your own DAG application. This time around, we're going to have you create your first game on your own in XNA. It's not going to be that bad at this point. You have been shown everything that you need to create the game, so it should be a lot of fun. Of course, if you have any difficulties completing it, fear not. In the next video, we are going to show you a complete walkthrough of how we would go about putting it together. We're also looking for you to stay simple. There's no reason to get, too overzealous with the project itself. We just want to make sure that you can put this together utilizing everything that we've shown you through Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now let's take a look at the game. Again, like I said, it's going to be an easy game. What we're going to do is a Pong-style game. That's right. It's like you almost always have to do a Pong-style game when you get into the world of XNA. If you surf on the internet, you'll find it seems like everybody wants to do a tutorial over how to do Pong. I mean, have you noticed that, Logan?
In a sense, it's kind of the hello world of the gaming
It really is. Very simple collision, very simple bouncing off walls.
Being one of the original video games, it only makes sense that would be one thing that's redone just for the sake of doing it in the gaming world.
Yeah, I agree. So in our case, instead of us doing it for you, we're going to have you do it to test your knowledge because you're ready for it. So what we're looking for you to do is basically you're going to have your screen. Oh yeah, what a beautiful line. See if I can draw a few lines in here without holding the shift button down just to present myself with a challenge. Hey, that's not bad. And, of course, there's going to be a couple paddles. So we're going to have player 1 and player 2. And we're going to have a little ball graphic. Our little graphic's a little X. And this guy is going to be moving around, bouncing, getting by a player, causing a score to appear. So you're going to have scores drawn on here. So as you can see, right away we're going to be making use of sprites, the sprite font. We'll be working with the sprite batch, of course. And then, of course, we've got some very simple game logic that we're going to need to have in place as well. Let's go ahead and spend just a second and talk about the requirements. So let's go ahead and jump over here to the side. So what are the requirements of our Pong-like game? Well, let's start out with the ball. The ball needs to launch in a random direction. So when the game begins, we're not looking for any menus or any hit the start key to begin. Like I said, we're going to keep this game very simple since it's the first game we're asking you to create completely on your own. So when we begin, the ball needs to launch from the center in a random direction, either right or left, and, of course, at any angle. Just make sure it doesn't go straight up or down, okay? We don't want to get caught in one of those funny situations. So this way, when you first launch the game, player 1, player 2, they have no clue who's going to get the ball first. So that's the first thing that needs to take place. Second, of course, with the ball, it needs to bounce off walls. So it collides and bounces off top and bottom walls. That one's kind of obvious. Okay, now if the ball passes a paddle, what needs to take place? So here we are, this little scenario over here, the player, whoops, he just didn't get down there in time. What's going to happen? Well, we have a winning player and a losing player. Basically, the winning player is going to get a point. So if player misses, so I'll just write down misses. So, winner gets a point, and the loser catches on fire. No, we're just kidding. That would make it a little more interesting, though. Winner gets a point, and the ball relaunches. So So the ball relaunches from the center, random direction, toward winner. So in this particular case, player number 2, so I'll go ahead and write player 2, player 1. So in this particular case, player 2 just missed the ball, so the ball now relaunches towards the person who just got the point in a random direction once again. Okay? Simple enough. Makes sense? What's the next requirement? All right. So, of course, when the ball hits a paddle, it needs to bounce off a paddle. So here we are. We're coming in. Da, 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 bing, ding, 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 ding. Great sound effects, eh, Logan?
Oh, yeah.
So there we go. The ball has bounced off a paddle. But we got to make it a little bit more interesting than that. Let's jot down. That's the first rule. Ball bounces off paddles. But it's got to be a little more interesting than that. How about we take into account the motion of the paddle itself? So what if we were to say a percentage of the paddle's motion is imparted to the ball? Okay? So percentage is imparted to ball. This kind of gives us a way of simulating, like, I'm going to put a backspin on it, or I'm going to spin it upwards, or I'm going to spin it downwards. So if the ball was coming down like this and I wanted to, really push it down hard, of course I can push my paddle down at the right moment. And as the paddle's coming down and strikes the ball is then going to receive some of that direction of the paddle going downwards, and it's going to put some of that onto the ball's velocity y.
Right, that adds an element of strategy to the game, so that way you can try to go for a really tricky shot where you try to hit the ball in the other direction or impart even more motion to it so that the ball goes faster, and hopefully the other guy won't counter.
Exactly. So that's your common type of things. All right, let's see, what else? Now, not quite so common, things we need to be a stickler about. Let's see, how about the scores need to be properly aligned? So scores need to be, let me just say aligned. And what am I talking about? Well, I've got a little bit of distance off my left side of the screen. Let's have that same distance appear over here on the right side of the screen. And as my score number goes up into the 2 digits and perhaps even into the 3 digits, it needs to maintain this distance off. So on this side, you could almost say we're left aligning, and on this side over here, we're right aligning. So if we had a score of, so here is a simulated top of my screen. And let's say we had a score of 52 to 136. They've been playing for a while. This distance needs to remain constant.
Right, and that's why we were saying the score on the right-hand side needs to be right aligned so that the digits actually extend to the left as the score gets higher. That way we would maintain that spacing. Otherwise, the score will look misaligned if it was allowed to just continue writing off the right-hand side of the screen.
Yeah, that would just look bad. All right, let's see. What else? Use whatever font you want. You can use whatever colors you want. How about paddle movement? Let's see. You guys have learned how to use the keyboard. You've learned how to use the controller. So let's get both of those involved. As far as the controllers, left thumbstick. And for keyboard, let's say player 1 uses the W and S key, for W going up and S representing down. Player 2 uses the up and down arrow keys. That'll work. So you can get your buddy in and you can play a friendly game of Pong. And you can set this up with the controllers, and if you don't have a controller, that's not going to blow anything up. So that's the convenient thing. So if you have keyboard support right there, right out of the box, then anybody can play the game, because obviously you got a keyboard because you were able to type the code in. Okay, so that's how we want the paddles to be controlled. What about the speed? Now, this is pretty interesting. In the left thumbstick, this is analog, And this is digital, our keyboard. So basically, with the keyboard, we get an on-off state, and with our left thumbstick, we get a value, a float value, basically, that's changing, right? Well, let's make this as tricky as possible. Actually, this isn't going to be that tricky. We want the speed to be digital, or stepped, if you will. So the speed is rather on or off. It's rather a constant speed, or it's not moving at all. So that's your speed, on or off. So you're going to need to figure out how you need to handle this guy right here, because you're getting this analog signal in. How do we work with that to represent a constant speed for the ball? Okay. Now that's not to say, of course, that the ball's not going to,
the paddle.
The paddle. I'm about to get over onto the ball real quick. The ball speed, of course, is going to change. The paddle needs to be constant. Let me just end it there. I was about to switch gears real quick. Anything you want to add to that?
Or to lay it out another way, the paddle can only move up at a constant speed, be stopped, or move down at a constant speed.
Yeah.
Those are the only three speeds of the ball, is up, stopped, and down.
Exactly. But speeds are constant. They don't vary at all. So like I said, the analog one, this is what you're going to have to figure out right there. What do you need to do to make it just on or not? It's not that difficult to do. Let's see, what else? I got to get away from the whole ball thing. I'm so stuck on the ball right now, I was ready to start putting speed control on the ball. All right. Everything needs to be represented by classes, because we're all comfortable working with objects now in classes. So we've got paddles, we've got input, we've got the ball. Let's represent these things with classes. Again, I still want to keep the whole overall look and feel as simple as possible. So, there's some stuff you can throw into the XNA's default update that it gives you. I mean, you don't have to put every single thing in there, but think of how you can organize this application so that your paddles are represented with a class, your ball's represented with a class. To make that a little bit more tricky, how about this? At least one method needs to be a virtual method. At least one. So think about this for a minute. Think about it. Okay. So you know what that implies. Excellent. And then finally, screen size. Make your screen size 640 by 480. Okay? Let me think. Anything else you want to add to all this, Logan?
I think that covers it pretty well. I mean, with the game drawn out on the screen like that, we've pointed out basically the way all of the motion of the ball and the paddles need to work, as well as the text alignment, and every other little things about the movement has been laid out. So I think that's it. Okay,
let's go ahead and show it to them in action with the very simple graphics we've come up with. So here we are. I've got a controller. I'm on the left. Logan's on the right. So let me see if I can force it down. Ah, yeah.
Just barely. Just hit the edge.
Yeah, I almost missed it. Now to force it up. Oh, and I missed. And Logan gets a point. And up. There we go. Haha, tricky shot. So as you can see, we've picked up a little bit more speed now.
And then I countered that. I had moved the paddle in the other direction, so I just countered all of the speed that Jason had imparted to the ball.
So here, once again, crazy bounce, crazy bounce. And, oh, that was close. Oh, even crazier. Uh-oh. So where's it going to go? Somewhere right. Whoa. Oh, there was just no way. Just no way. So as you can see, as I am losing horribly here, 0-2. Oh, that's just great. Let me just sit right here in the middle somewhere. Woo! There you go. Now that has lots of crazy bounce to it. Ooh, very nice. All right, so let me see if I can catch this without any motion. Nope, nope, nope. Oh! And let's see if we can just hit it once without actually moving. Boom. So nothing crazy going on. Yeah, there you go. And boom. So as you can see, we can really control, as I said, that simulated backspin. There we go.
The backspin amount is actually fairly heavy in the setting that we've got now, just because that quickly lets a lot of strategy in, so we don't have to wait forever and try to impart motion over and over again.
Exactly. So this is it. Again, very simple game. But that's the idea. We want you to get in there and have to start working with sprites, working with sprite fonts, etc. Just get comfortable with it. and see if you can put it together. And then after this, we move into Precision, your first real serious game in XNA. So at this point, go ahead, stop the video, and wish you the best of luck. If you get stuck, don't worry about it. Come back on the next video and watch how we do it. But do give it a very valiant effort. And, wow, that was pretty funny. Anyways, so go ahead and see what you can come up with, and we'll see you back in the next video. Thanks a lot.